YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We have a box we're gonna open right now, and if you wanna just take a look at this thing, looks a little sus to me. That's all I'm gonna say. So we're gonna cut this open and we'll show you how amazing this plane is gonna be.
How do you know it's a plane?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like not even marked.
That's true. We don't even know, I still don't know what it is.
I was gonna say.
Are we sure? Should we open this on camera?
Maybe.
Should we call the FBI first?
Maybe it was that other thing. No.
Oh crap, the other thing? We can't share that on YouTube. It's so white box. These are the worst ones. Okay, so we'll just throw this, whoa!
Put that anywhere.
Looks like a shipping manifest here, so we'll just let that out of the way. Still looks a little sus to me. All right, well, we're gonna find out what's inside of here about right now. Oh, this actually folds out like this, okay. What is going on in here? Look at this, this is a plane evidently. Okay, so guys, enough joking around. This is the sus, also known as the slow ultra stick. And we're gonna pull it out right now and we're gonna see how amazing it really is. Okay, so unfolded that. Ooh, it's got a rubber nose cone, that's interesting. Did you see that? It's rubber. Rubber.
Well, I mean,
rubber. And yes, this is an early sample, so it may look a little bit dirty on the tip, but that's just part of it. Okay, there's a zip tie here, so I guess I need something to cut the zip tie, so we'll get some side cutters. If you don't have side cutters, you can use scissors, but just be careful because scissors don't always cut it. Oh!
it's full of it today, huh?
That was really cheap. Cheap shot. Okay, so let's lift this up. So Avian ESC, that's sweet. Okay, so what do we got for a motor? We've got a Spectrum SPMXA 2800, 3513, 1100 kV motor. Looks like it goes back to an Avian Light ESC. And as you can see, this says top. Okay, so we have our down and to the right. And then of course we have our receiver here. Looks like an AR630 attached by Velcro. This is the programming cable for the Avian ESC. Then the Avian ESC is here. This is gonna be like the easiest build ever. Because look, we've got the rudder and elevator. I don't know, we'll have to figure out which one's which. And it's this small box, guys, so that's kind of a big deal. Now, normally with Horizon orders, the shipping is free, so that shouldn't be a big value to them, but I think that's gonna help them hold down the cost of this thing. Okay, so we have two digital A3455S, or excuse me, 5 SLs. So I don't know what SL stands for, but we'll find out in a minute here. So it's just like basically aluminum, and these things are gonna slip together probably here, I'm assuming. The screws are gonna go like that, something like that. So we'll figure that out in a minute. So we'll just lay stuff down. Then right here is what appears to be the wing joiner. Now this is just like a super light and slow, capable of flying slow ultra stick. And one thing you need to remember about this, boy, this is like really flexible. There's nut zerts over here and then 3 pinpoints there.
Okay.
What you need to remember about this is just because it's slow doesn't mean it has to be slow. It's more of like 3D capable with trainer characteristics, but it's not necessarily being marketed as a trainer. I don't really understand. Okay, we have embedded hinges, that's nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Big carbon fiber reinforcements on that, but super light. I mean, this thing weighs like nothing.
Oh, wow.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing in the unbox, we've got the horizontal stabilizer here. Okay, so we'll pull that out. As you can see, lots of carbon fiber to hold everything together. Nice edges here. Really simple, basic airplane setup. It looks like at one point they must have designed with some more extra carbon fiber up here, and then maybe they found it wasn't necessary because that twist doesn't happen once it's attached. I don't know. We'll find out later if that becomes a problem. I kind of doubt it will. And then of course we have one of the wings. Okay, so it looks just like the customary ultra stick wing. course, we did the Hanger 9 Ultra Stick not too long ago. Well, that would have been like almost a couple years ago now, actually, now that I say that. Okay. As you can see here.
A piece of tape on it.
This must have been number 8 in the sample. So this is an early sample, that's why the box isn't printed. Yours will be printed with the conventional retail packaging, of course. This has a pinch hinge, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, but it's definitely got a ton of throw. Look at that, goodness gracious, that's nuts. And then yes, this does have a linkage here that looks like it would go to the center for a singular servo, but I believe that there is an option on this where you can actually add a second servo if you want to do full length flaperons, because you may have already noticed there is a long aileron, which is great. So if you want to do flaperons later, but just keeping in mind by default, it does come with just the singular servo, okay? So it's not hard to split off servos, but it is something that would add some extra cost to it. So that's a little bit disappointing. But that being said, look how tall the cord is on, look at this. This is like so thick and it feels really light. I mean, there's like nothing to it. So it must be hollow. I can't quite tell, but I think it's hollow. So those hollow core wings, and of course this thing is gonna go together like, basically like this, okay? And then these are gonna, of course, run the servos for the ailerons. So evidently somebody at Horizon doesn't like flaperons. I don't know why. It's kind of popular for those of us out here in the real world. Okay, so we have some landing gear, and then we have some more landing gear and some nuts and bolts, it looks like. A couple linkages. Okay, so these are carbon fiber squares, and then they go down to a screw, which has a very lightweight, and as I said, how did they manage to make those so firm? Feel that. Why is that so firm?
I thought it was squishy.
I thought it was gonna be squishy too. Although to be honest with you, a super light plane, not gonna be quite as critical as some of the other airplanes we've been dealing with lately. Okay, so that's everything. That's the full contents of the box, guys. There was this little pocket over here, so just make sure you don't forget to check in there. And this is a little different packaging than we've seen. It's just not all foam on foam. It's cardboard on foam, which I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I would say as long as things get here and they're not broke, I don't complain. But I must say, I don't really have a problem with foam myself. I like foam. I think it's a great way to pack stuff. And then I am not disassembling a plane to put it away. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a garbage box, not a transportation case. And they probably will say it's a transportation case, but I would not call it that. All right, so getting to the point. Now we've got an install that we have to do pre-manual. Those are the best. Okay, so we have this thing that's gonna attach into that thing like this, okay? So let's just see kind of how that lines up, very nice. And then there'll be screws that come in from this side to kind of join the wings on the top, so you're getting a visual of what this thing's gonna look like. And I think what I really wanna do first is probably go ahead and get the landing gear installed now that I've confirmed how the wing is gonna look. So that's what I'm gonna start with. Okay, so landing gear are gonna obviously go into the front here, and they just kind of slide. There's one that goes this way, and it snaps in. Okay, so that's snapped in, very nice. I also like that it's very lightweight. And then this, I don't know if you guys saw that, but there's like a little lip on there.
Oh, yep.
It's just milled into the carbon fiber. And see how they cross over each other? Real super simple. Okay, and it just slides up here, and then there's this little keeper. Okay, so now it's in. Now, I gotta warn you, I did that, and I didn't get sliced. But if you ever have this stuff fracture on you, and it's kind of splayed out a little bit, and you'll have like a little fiber sticking out, if you slide your hand and you get a sliver in your skin, you will hate life until you get it out. It's gonna be terrible. So obviously we've got a prop on here, which is 11 by 5.5. Okay, so exciting to see. This is so weird. Did you feel the rubber tip?
I did. It is weird.
It's strange. Like, I'm not used to seeing rubber tips on planes. I don't feel like the rubber is gonna really do that much for anybody, but it's kind of nice because maybe it'll hold up better. But in my experience, that's not like where our point of failure is. Because if you look at this, you're gonna end up hitting the prop first. So I'm not sure what to think about that, but it's just kind of a different design. I'm not really, we haven't seen anything quite like that. Okay, so now the tail section has 2 Phillips screws that go through. So I think at this point, we're gonna have to eventually get a Phillips screwdriver. So why don't we get one of our Chinese sets? You know, do you remember back in the day when we used to get screwdrivers with everything? Good thing we saved them up.
Is that back in the day when I used to get flowers in my knot vase?
Oh, you mean the vase that I broke recently? Mm-hmm. We haven't shown that video yet.
Oh.
It's highly secret. Top secret. No, wait, we did too. It was released already. It was released on the T28. The T28 1.4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on the reverse thrust.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, now I'm taking these screws out. You guys may not have these screws already installed. Again, this is an early sample for us. So my apologies. We don't mean to misrepresent any of these details to you, but I believe it's possible that we got these screws installed for us and they would normally come in a small bag. So just keep that in mind. We never want to mislead on an Unbox build radio setup because we literally gain nothing from it, and we stand to answer lots of questions to you guys when you do ask. So as with always, we have communicated, make sure that you send stuff in as factory-like condition if it has to be one of these like used early releases. So they do their best. Sometimes they do. I don't really think they do. They probably come in a bag. I'd be amazed. I'm just concerned that they have to assemble this, and I don't know what to tell them about that. So I would assume they don't, because it seemed to have kind of a natural home in that box. Mm-hmm. And we've never had to mount servos on a Horizon like an e-flite style. So of course this is e-flite, and it says Spectrum on the side. I guess I don't even know. Is this under the e-flite brand, or is this? Does it say e-flite on the wing? I would imagine it's e-flite. Yeah, it's e-flite. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if you guys are ever curious about what brand something is marketed under, I could really care less, as long as you know if the plane is good or bad. Because really, at the end of the day, all we do here on Brian Phillips RC is we open them, we set them up on the radio system, try to answer as many questions from the layman, of which I am one, might have. And so then we can show you whether or not the plane is as good as they claim it's going to be. And I think what I'm gonna do for the radio setup is I'm actually just not even gonna worry about which servo's which. Well, yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we'll try. I was thinking we don't even have to worry about it because we can just plug them in and see which one moves.
Just switch them?
Yeah, just set up a basic acro. And that's one of the things that's nice about this model is they're not labeled.
They are.
What?
There's like silver paint pen on this one.
Oh,
and on
okay.
This one up here.
So whoever did that probably marked it. I doubt yours is gonna come marked like that. So that is a lot of screwing to get this together.
Yeah, it kind of is for like a little...
Well, I think what it is that the plastic lines up with the aluminum and therefore it acts like a thread when really you could just push it through. I don't want to damage the threads. So that tightens in there nicely though. I mean, it's like definitely one piece. Okay, so this is like almost nothing. I mean, it's a couple pounds if that. Not even a couple pounds, maybe 1 pound if that. So it's very light. And then I have to figure out how to put this tail assembly together. See, there's a pass-through right there. And then there's a screw hole there. Screw passes from the top, it looks like. So we're gonna try this first. Now, I might need to put the horizontal, looks like the vertical stabilizer goes on first.
And I would think the orange would go up on that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Good catch. I'm just not 100% sure. Yeah, it's gotta be this way first because that sits forward like that. Okay, so this goes on first, slides onto the vertical. Oh no, but then how would I put the screw in? Oh, the screw goes from the bottom. That's how that works. Okay, so that goes all the way in. And then this one, it just barely makes it on there, okay?
Oh.
Like that, super simple.
Wow.
And then you've got one screw that goes through right there. So guys, when we do these Unbox build radio setups, it seems kind of like ludicrous when you have a super easy build like this, that we would need to do an Unbox build radio setup. But the truth is, the reason we do it is because a lot of you guys ask for it, and it looks like we don't have a screw there. So that's not so good. Unless that screw is a thumb screw. Because there's 1, 2 on the main wing and then maybe a third on the tail. So let's see if that works out. So they included these thumb screws. So I think they assume you're gonna take off just the horizontal stabilizer, leave the vertical stab there, or just slide it off. Oh yeah, that's the way that works. So that's pretty sweet, guys. So you could just leave the tail together. and take the entire tail off with 2 screws, or you can undo 1 thumb screw and take off both of these, but then you have to undo your control linkages. So I guess honestly, like in my opinion, just based on our circumstances, we like to fly here, obviously, and so we don't have to take stuff apart very often. Now I'm thinking about this for a second. If I put this tail on, or if I put this wing on, am I gonna be able to, you know what we should do? We should be smart fellers and not fart smellers. You know why?
Why?
We have to put the tail dragger on. And I don't know, do I put that together first? I think I should. Yeah, there's dihedral in this wing is the reason I'm trying to be kind of careful how I do this. Oh yeah, that was easy.
Oh,
see?
cool, yeah.
There it is, really super easy actually. I don't know what the lines are for. I wonder if they just must have designed it with like carbon fiber in different spots. So like sample number 8, I guess, didn't have that. Maybe it was more satisfactory, a little bit lighter, who knows? All I know is I love planes and I love doing this stuff for you. If you guys want to help support us, buy the stuff from the links in the video description below. See that? Mm-hmm. Super easy, watch this. Oh, that's awesome. Oh. Guys, you gotta love a simple design. It makes things so much easier on us. Okay, so looking with me, camera crew, we've got 4 lengths. These are about the same. These are about the same. Obviously, these are gonna go for the ailerons. One's quite a little bit longer than the other. I don't know why, but we'll find that out shortly. And then one of these, oh wait, I said that obviously, and I was obviously wrong because
oh, that is a really long throw.
Yeah, so I don't know which one's which, and I don't know which hole we're supposed to go into. It looks like they went to the outside hole. If you want to like shoot the camera this way so they can see what I'm seeing, Megan, this way. See this? There's like a little scuff mark on there. But I don't know which hole they went to. And then same thing over here. There's, oh gosh, that's really hard to tell. I do not know. Looks like, okay, so camera crew, what do you think?
Probably outside hole.
Of this?
That.
And then let's go one in.
Yeah.
All right, like that.
Okay.
Snap it in, slide it on. I don't know if that's in the home position, the centered position, but let's just assume centered is centered, so that's pretty close. And then we'll see what the rudder does. If the rudder is way off, then I'll know I got him wrong. Again, guys, early sample, sometimes we have this. You guys will probably have to make an adjustment by turning this in or out. Super fine thread. Okay, second hole in is what we said. Mm-hmm. Okay, so double check the manual if you're in any questions. Okay, so there's that. Looks pretty close. I would say that's probably it. Oh, okay, so now we're gonna plug in our wires. We never did plug in the wires. So as we mentioned incorrectly, the short ones go on the wing, the long ones go on the elevator and rudder. And one of these has a mark on the top. There it is. One of them has a mark on it. Okay, so looks like the one with the mark goes to the elevator. Okay. So you can see that. And just brown to brown, orange to orange, or yellow to yellow rather. The red's in the middle, of course. Make sure you get them all the way inserted. Oh man. Doesn't feel like they're all the way snapped, but they evidently are. Because look at that. Doesn't feel like it's all the way snapped, but it is. Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out if that's acceptable. Oh, there's a clippy doohickey. Look.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Okay. I don't know if that's sweet, but it's better than nothing. The rubber nose cone does make this easier to build. Yeah. Because it kind of like holds it for you. Okay, so I'm just kind of pulling this until it's sort of snug. There, and then it snaps into position. Okay, and then we'll just kind of slither them in. Okay, pretty good there. All right, so everything's built there. Now, I think we were talking about this off camera for a second. What does that look like?
A place to put something.
You got to stick a rod in there, huh?
Yeah.
So if you pull your box back up off the floor, then you can see there's a rod here that I missed. My apologies, guys. That was kind of a big miss. So it looks like there's actually, it's supposed to be here as well, possibly. It slipped through. So here, there you go. There it is, guys. Okay, so if you're like me and you missed that, my apologies. Is that carbon fiber? Can't tell. Kind of sounds like it might be fiberglass, but I don't think it's fiberglass. I think it's carbon fiber. It's probably carbon fiber.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. It's pretty dull sound when it's not carbon fiber. Like if it's fiberglass, it sounds like plastic hitting the table. But if it's got that sharp, high-pitched twang to it, then that's carbon fiber. So easy build so far. Hopefully these last two thumb screws are not a problem. We haven't jinxed ourselves now. That seems a lot more reasonable in terms of strength and accommodation there. I love the thick wing, that's so cool. Okay, so it almost stays together without this thing. Then this thing kind of has to go on the front, and then that just kind of stretches around, okay? So pretty simple stuff. And then as you can see for size, what is this, 1.2?
1.2.
1.2 meter. 1.2 is a great size class, by the way. And what's even greater is just how, why is there an extra cable hanging out? What the heck is that?
Ailerons.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, why is there an extra cable? Okay, so these three line up, they slip into the holes, and then slip it forward, okay? Then once they're forward, now we need to get this flexed under to that little keyhole there, like that. So it kind of holds itself without the thumb nuts. I gotta say, guys, this is a lot easier than doing an ultra stick. An ultra stick, just tearing it down would probably take as long as building this thing. That's not to take anything away from that plane. That plane is beautiful. But it's just not like my primary style. I think I'm gonna enjoy flying this more. Oh, by the way, it flies on 1300 3S. So as you can see, I plop one of those into the charger. We'll grab another one. 1300 3S 30C. This happens to be a Gen 1. We don't have any Gen 2s, do we? I don't think we do. They're all Gen 1s. We don't have any Gen 2s. Okay, so plug in the balance lead. You can charge them without the balance lead being inserted, but I just always insert it because I kind of like sticking things in. Okay, so now we'll come back over. So as you can see, it's definitely taking shape. It's a different looking plane. Now I'm kind of kicking myself. I wonder if it would have been smarter to put those aileron controls on. You see how I'm gonna lay this on the table?
Oh.
I want to make sure it lays down like that. It'd probably be better on a plane stand, admittedly, but I'm simulating having nothing helpful like that. Okay, so this is supposed to go in one from the end, isn't it? I think it's one from the end.
Might be the end.
It is the end? Do we need to double check?
I might need to double check.
Okay, let's double check. Okay, so it's supposed to be in one from the end. And then ooh, that was nice. Okay. And then we have to plug this wire in as well. So I'm gonna, oh, that's not it. Where is the servo wire? Oh, there it is. So brown is up. That's surprisingly tight in there. Might have been easier to plug it in while the wing was off. Okay, so it's plugged in now. I wanna see if I can set this into that crack area. I'm not sure if I can get that there. That'd be nice if it went under. I'm actually just gonna kind of force it in there. Just careful you don't cut your cable. Okay, so I've got these both in, and then we're going to the outside-most hole. That seems like it's gonna be like not enough throw. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now remember, guys, you may have to finagle these by spinning them in or out, and we'll show you how to do that here in a minute, because we have to double check ours as well, okay? So that's pretty sweet.
That's like built, right?
Yeah, looks built to me.
That's crazy.
Okay, so that's pretty good size. It's quite light. I'm actually curious how much this thing weighs, because I know some of you guys are thinking sub 250. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's get out the old kitchen scale. So there's the kitchen scale. And we're gonna turn this thing on and see what we got, what we're working with here. All right, so we're in grams. We wanna be sub 250. Now that's all up weight, so we'll just see how bad this is. I'm gonna need something to put on there because it's big enough. I don't think it can, well, I'll just try balancing it for now and we'll see what we get. 0, there you go.
8,
So
right about 8.
800. So we're definitely not sub 250. So definitely not going to be sub 250 in case you guys were wondering. Maybe just the foam alone, but then there's nothing holding it together. So you're definitely going to be a regular plane, which is, you know, it is what it is. Okay, 1300. Did I hear this thing just beep, cam crew?
Something
we're at
beeped.
91%.
Okay.
So I think what we'll do is we'll just grab any battery, except it might not bind. So I think I'll stop the one that's at 90%. We'll whip that out and we're gonna go ahead and dig in with the NX8. Now, just to be clear here pretty quick, I think we're gonna be transitioning into the NX10 and I'm super excited for it. But at this point, we're still on the NX8. Now, don't worry, we're not going up to the iX14. And if you're hoping that we would go to the iX14, don't worry, someday we might, but just not right now because there's just too many people that need help getting started. And so that's why we did that. And we hope that you guys understand because what we do here on this channel, obviously, is many times just laying out exactly how to build a radio controlled airplane. And so for those of you that are already experienced enough to be able to do this without help, or maybe you watched about, like 2,000 hours of footage from Brian Phillips RC, so like 3 or 4 videos, then you already know how to do this from personal experience. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on. So the transmitter is fired up. Looks like the last time we flew was the ASW28. So we're gonna hit cancel and back. We're gonna create a new model, add new model, create. Now, don't worry guys, this prop is installed. I'm gonna make sure that I protect myself before we would get ready to start, okay? So I've noticed that it takes longer to initiate the more models that we have in here. So in this case, we've got quite a few. So model type, make sure you're on acro. If you reset, that's gonna reset all the parameters, including your name. So model name, 144:space. Acro, so in this case, we're gonna call it the SUS, and which is the slow ultra stick, and we'll be right back. So we have the SUS, the slow ultra stick. But as you can see, we ran out of room. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you one trick. If you guys are new to this platform and you're not sure how to do it, you can do this. And then you can highlight the next character because I wanna show the size class. So I'll just get rid of that acronym. And then I wanna highlight that and then I'm gonna do the same and then I'm gonna put the meters at the end. So we'll come right back. All right, so we have the slow ultra stick. 1.2 meter, I had to take out that space there because it didn't fit otherwise. Okay, so now that we have that done, we can set up the aircraft type. Of course, in this case, we have a normal wing servo, not to be confused with a dual aileron, not to be confused with any of that stuff, okay? So just set it like that. Now, if you ever separate those servos, you can do a dual aileron and you can run those as flaperons, or you can set up a flaperon, and all you would do is you would lose AS3X on the one side and you would maintain AS3X on the other side. And it's not ideal, but it definitely work. I've done it before. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because I don't know that you're gonna need it on this plane. But that being said, I don't need a plane. I want a plane and I want it to be just so. So that being said, if you decide to do your second servo, it's pretty easy to make some servo pockets and go ahead and remanipulate this one screw and that screw, and you can actually move it over a little bit and do all the stuff you need to do. It shouldn't be that big a deal, or you can drop different control horns in. So at any rate, it's definitely not gonna be a huge issue if you decide to do it. It's available. Okay, so the normal and normal tail. And of course, I'm gonna select an image, and I think they actually do have an ultra stick in here. Maybe it's like the Night Vapor. Do you remember?
It's been a long time since we did that style.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
Good enough. Okay, and then flight modes. Yeah, we probably do have to do flight modes. Okay, so now let's talk about switches for a second. This would normally be my retracts. Normal flight mode, retracted, normal flight mode, like landing gear down. Because when I park the plane, I would usually have that down like that. Then flaps, then something else if I use it, and then safe select on off. Don't use switch E generally, and then dual rates and expo, thrust reverse, and then throttle cut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make a decision for switch 1 to be switch A. So we only have 2 flight modes that we're playing with. That's gonna be AS3X on and AS3X off, okay? Or excuse me, AS3X on and safe on and off, okay? So spoken flight modes, I'm gonna set one of them to cancel, and one of them is gonna be AS3X, so AS3X is gonna be back here. I may need to flip the rotation of the actual servo channel. So at this point, we'll do it that way. We're just gonna type it in. Remember, this is just a label. This is not actually doing any settings per se, okay? Okay, so AS3X, and then this is gonna have an audio event attached to it. And it's also gonna display on the main home screen. So we'll just scroll way down to about here and we'll show you where it is. Okay, so when you see leveling, there's safe mode, AS3X mode, okay?
AS3X mode.
Okay, so then the second mode, we're gonna clear that, double click the escape and it'll clear it for you. And then I'm gonna type in the word safe for sensor aided flight envelope, also known as auto leveling here. Okay, so we have safe. And then we're gonna set up the audio event. Remember, this is just a label. It's not actually making a change in state other than the actual switch condition is gonna be changing. So we're gonna scroll way down here and they have the more generic auto level and then later on they have safe. So I'll find the word that says safe.
Passed it.
There we go.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
Now remember, that's just labels, okay? Oh, and then I might need to go into channel assign. So I'm gonna go back to system setup, disconnect, go to the channel assign. I'm gonna detach this. Well, actually, I don't really care on this plane, I don't think, because I don't have flat mode. So shouldn't matter, but we'll do that anyway. Okay, so now they didn't say how long the flight time was. I don't remember. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go switch F for dual rates and expo. We'll just do our standard 5%, 10%, which is our starting point, and then 20%, which is a lot of expo to really deaden the sticks. And at the same time, we're gonna lower the rates down to 90%. So we'll go over to elevator, switch back to 0. There's 5. There's 10, and then there's 20. And the reason we do this the same every time is because we almost always have good success in the middle range, which means that really, for all intents and purposes, we could just start with this, but why do we not start with just this? And instead we have a halving and a doubling effect. That's because when you get in the air, you wanna make sure you can get it down, because what we do is almost exclusively flying planes for the first time. So obviously we aren't sure how they're gonna handle. We wanna make sure we can get them down on the ground. And I know some of you guys forget that when you make your snide remarks about how I landed a plane and crashed into a snowbank and it was like some big terrible thing, which is fortunately a very, very small minority of people that watch this channel. But just remember, guys, we're always flying them for the first time on this channel. Like I mean, maybe, but we do second thoughts. Second thoughts, but most of the time we're flying planes for the first time. So like we haven't had a chance to get used to them. And so anyway, so all 3 of them are tied to switch F. Now, why do we do that instead of tying them to switch F for elevator and, you know, like F for rudder and like E for elevator and D for, you know, ailerons or something like that? Well, because A, I want those switches for other activities, okay? But then B, I don't want to be overwhelmed as a pilot when I'm not flying. And I know some of you guys are going to say, how would you be overwhelmed by having 3 switches? Because first of all, when you're flying, it's hard enough just to kind of fly on a maiden flight. You don't want to be searching around for buttons and stuff. You can always deaden the sticks. You can make it softer than you want. It's generally going to be flyable. Then when you get to the ground, you can say, you know, my elevator was too touchy on that plane. Well, first of all, you might want to slide your battery forward, and that will lighten the effect of your elevator by making it a little bit more nose heavy, which is going to stabilize the overall flight of the aircraft. But if you just want to soften the sticks a little bit, you can do it 2 ways. You can go to dual rates and expo. Let's say it was just in this example, it was elevator. So instead of being 10 in the middle, say you switch it up here to get it to the ground. Well, I'm going to make this 20, then I'm going to make this 40, I'm going to make this 10. So this is going to be 20 now. That's going to be 40. I might even drop the rates down to like 75%. And then on this setting, I'm going to put it back to 10, which is like the middle setting. Okay, so if you want to do some like more acrobatic stuff, you can go up to that setting. If you want to do a super high speed pass, you can do that. It'll help deaden the sticks a little bit. But I don't do that when I'm flying. I just leave it in the middle most of the time. And I want a conservative, comfortable flight mode, okay? All right, so just as an example. Now, the other thing too is if you ever do get a plane that's really touchy like that and adjusting the center of gravity slightly doesn't give you the effect you want, then what you can do is you can take, like on the elevator here, and you see how it's all the way out on the end? You'll get less play if you go in one hole. You'll get even less if you go all the way to the inside. So it's gonna barely move the elevator. So that's like your rate control. This is also your rate control, but it's as a function of a multiplier. So the furthest out and the furthest in gives you the most movement, okay? You'll probably run into stuff, that's what's gonna happen. But if you want less movement, you want the least movement possible, but still movement, you go to the inside here and you'd go all the way to the top. So the differential in position on this digital servo will impact change just very, very insignificantly. Now, the reason you might want that is if you have a plane that you're flying intentionally tail heavy. So you want less change because your pitch control will be largely, like inadvertent. And that's what happens when you have a tail heavy plane is that the elevator becomes way too pitchy. So you'll porpoise a lot. So if you have a plane that's porpoising, and I'm not talking about AS3X where it's wiggling as you fly because it's the amplitude is too high. If you just have a plane with no stabilization, no auto leveling, and it's porpoisey when you fly, that means that you're probably a little bit tail heavy or your elevator output is too high. Once you've reduced that, you can tame that porpoising effect. It'll give you more precision of controls if you bring this in, okay? And if you bring that in, you're gonna get more output, which is gonna overall reduce the precision of control because your control range is still based on the position of your stick. So this is all the way down, this is all the way up. That's all you ever get in terms of, the actual discrete change in status from you. Now, there are electronic mixes and things like that you can use, like dual rates and expo. But at the end of the day, this is the analog input. That is your body moving the stick. It's never gonna move further than that. It's never gonna move further than that beyond calibrating the sticks, okay? Hopefully that wasn't too much information if you guys are newer pilots. If you're more experienced pilots, I hope I haven't missed the boat for what you were hoping I would add to that explanation. Okay, all right, so continuing on, throttle cut, obviously that's super important. So throttle cut, I wanna make sure to attach it to that switch, so we'll highlight, attach it to switch H. Now we're gonna look down here, it says -100. Whoops, see, I didn't click to acknowledge. Now it's put it on throttle stick. I wanna put it on switch H, click to acknowledge, and then as you can see, when I move my throttle stick, there's no change in that little monitor down there, okay? Now when I shut this off, it's working. See how the throttle's moving up and down? I'm gonna put that back on. Throttle cut's on. Also get in the habit of saying it out loud. Throttle cut's on, throttle cut's off, throttle cut's on. People are gonna think you're an idiot, and that's okay, because you're an idiot that isn't at the emergency room. Okay, excuse me, throttle curve, I'm not using that here. We're not gonna do any mixing yet. Timer, I don't know what the time's gonna be, but let's just go ahead and set it to let's set it to 5 minutes, and then we'll do a 1 out over 25%. And then next, at 1 minute, I want a voice call out. At 20 seconds, I want nothing. At 10 seconds, I want another voice countdown. At expiration, I want tone and vibrate and then a tone every minute thereafter. Again, this is highly subjective how you set these things, but that's just the way I want it. Telemetry, I don't know what type of telemetry we're gonna get, but this is a smart ESC, so we should get data. We should get data for our battery pack voltage and RPMs and stuff like that. So we'll see. I don't know what we're gonna get. All right, so we have 5-minute timer. Over here you can see it's a very basic, simple setup. The one thing we haven't set up is safe, but it's not gonna matter yet because at this point you can see how it says AS3X.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
Pretty cool, huh? Throttle cut's on, we're ready to bind this thing. So I'm just gonna leave my transmitter on. Now let's look at how we load the battery. Normally we would talk about CG, but I'm not even sure we're gonna mess with that just quite yet because I wanna get past this step. I'm just taking note of where this prop is going and what it's gonna do and what it's gonna destroy. I don't like putting the radio in the way of the prop. In case this would go, it could potentially damage the control system we have for it. So now, usually what I do is I'll get hold of the plane somehow and then I'll make sure that the radio is not in a dangerous place, but I need to have access to my arms to be able to manipulate things. So this is the way I do it. If you're in any doubt, take off the prop. I don't exactly know how it comes off, but I would assume this thing pops off and then you can just undo the screw and it should come out. Okay, I'm not even gonna dig into that right now because ours came with it on. Okay, so this slides, that's good. There's also 2 set screws if you need to adjust your CG, so you always center your battery on this tray. Okay, so in this case, I am gonna just fold my, see this? This is actually a spot where you can put your thumb, but for me, it's actually upside down in the way that it's sitting. So I'm actually gonna flip that upside down, okay? See if it still works. Oh yeah, it'll still work. I don't want the leads going forward. I don't want them to get caught on the prop. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull this until it's like right there. Then I can pull it really tight on itself and then slap that around and we'll see how that does. Does it move? Yes, it does. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can resolve that issue. One, you can tighten it more, which is what I'm gonna try first. If we don't have success after tightening it more, see how it's dropping down real easy? Why did they not put that on top? Oh, so they can keep the center of gravity down below. Center of mass down low. I kind of wonder if we should do a shelf liner on the top so it doesn't slip in and out still.
Slide. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I'm having a hard time getting that to go, so I'm just gonna hold this with my middle finger on the flat of the battery, and then I can pull this tight. But see, the problem is every time I get it to where I feel like I've got it tight enough, it's like it's just not quite there, right? This is really a perfect example of where we need a pass-through strap. Why did they give us not a pass-through strap on this? That was a big miss in my opinion for such a minor detail, but whatever. Okay, so you see how it slides, guys? We're gonna resolve that right now. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. It's really, really easy. It's gonna make your life easier when you do choose to fly this plane. Now, the other thing you can do that might work well is just have a zip tie or something that goes around the battery, and then you can just slide it in and out of that opening. Now again, some of the things we do on this channel are highly subjective. Some of them are not so much highly subjective. They're just kind of like a good idea. This is shelf liner. It's very easy to use. It goes in your shelves. When you slam the drawer, things don't slide as easy, whereas they would slide easy here. This kind of slows it down so it doesn't slip and slide as easy, okay? So pretty simple stuff. We don't need very much for this. So I'm just gonna cut a little teeny square like that. Now, the easiest way to do this would probably just be put a little Velcro on there. If you really wanna make it simple, then put Velcro on your battery and then constantly have Velcro in the wrong spot every single time you use it until the end of time. But in my case, I'm actually a little bit tempted to just use this Velcro to attach it. And then if somebody has Velcro, they could just peel that off and use a Velcro. That's just too intelligent. Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's use this 3M tape. And you're like, Brian, why don't you just use some glue to plop it on there? Yes, you can do that too. The reason I'm doing it this way is different than normally the reasons I would do it, okay? Because that sticky, tacky stuff will come off eventually with 3M tape, but I feel like this is just gonna make it easier since it's gonna always be upside down.
Yeah.
If I glue it, there's not gonna be any time for it to set up and cure, and so I don't wanna mess with that. So I'm just grabbing this plane, flip it upside down. I'm gonna get this where it needs to go. It looks like they already have Velcro right here too. I didn't even see that. See, there's Velcro, guys. I apologize for those of you that are annoyed by this step, but it kind of is what it is. Okay, so I got my double-sided tape. Now that's gonna hold that, but only to the extent that I don't pull it through right now and kind of defeat the adhesive. Okay, so I'm just gonna load the battery like this. It'll be a little easier at least. Okay, see what I'm talking about? That little tab style is just not the style I would ever put on this plane. I would put a pull through on this 100% of the time. Okay, but now that we have that in there, watch. The battery's not slipping, okay?
Yeah.
See, we got a gap there. Oh, I never tightened in my wings. Hey guys, note to self, tighten your wings on.
Oh.
Did I put the wings in the wrong way? I put these in the wrong side. They go in from the bottom. Ho, 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 buddy. They go in from the bottom.
Oh.
That is so bizarre. Okay, my apologies. I am like, you guys were probably screaming at your TVs. Unfortunately, that's not the way the technology works, so I could not hear you. much like the officials at the NFL games, do not hear us screaming also. So I'm gonna pass this through here and see if that works. Or did I do it right? Did I do it right? I honestly cannot tell. This is like so weird. It seems like that would be the correct way, but I just don't feel like I'm getting great purchase.
The other one went from the bottom on the horizontal stabilizer, and it was a similar like nut zert design.
Okay. This has got to be what it is, because like how else would I hold it in there? I feel so embarrassed. Guys, that's part of running a YouTube channel. If you're not used to embarrassing yourselves publicly,
don't
then
do
don't
this.
start one. Because you're going to do that. Even your best efforts. Now, if we were really smart, we would just clip that out.
Nah.
But we know most of you guys don't really respect that much. We make mistakes just like you. The difference is we film it and then share people how to also replicate those mistakes.
Yeah, and then people can tell us for the next 20 years how we did it wrong.
Like, hey Brian, you put your bolts in the wrong way.
Yep.
I'll be hearing that for the next 7 years.
It's okay.
It's okay. We're not afraid of apologizing for a mistake. We made a mistake. And when I say we, I mean the camera crew did not catch me making that mistake. So she let it go.
I did catch that you put the horizontal stabilizer in upside down.
You did catch that. Just kidding. Okay. So here we go. All right. So the battery is not going to slip. So now we're getting ready to bind. So let's just reassess the situation. We don't want to get cut. We want to protect ourselves. We want to protect the aircraft. We want to protect our kitchen. Got the throttle cut on, which is no guarantee of success. I'm going to just see, I can't quite get that as far as I want, so I can point it in the right direction, so I have to put this out from me like this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to plug this in. So you see where my arm is? That's probably not a good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where the prop is. That's pretty dang close. So I'm going to put my hand here and here, and I'm going to test. Okay. Worst case scenario, I'm going to hold this, carefully pull my hand out. But usually what people do is they pull their hand back like this and they'll go right through the prop. And that's usually how people get hurt. So I am actually going to put it on my shoulder. Seems a little bit unnatural, but it'll work. Plugging it in, listening. You know, there's no activity yet, which is good. So I'm going to press this button here. That's the bind button. I see a flashy light. So now I'm going to point this plane somewhere safe. I'm going to keep a hand close by. And then camera crew, if you come over here, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. See this? Now I'm going to click. I'm going to scroll down to bind. Bind. Now my hand is in a position where I'm safe from cuts and I can control the plane. Auto config is going. Why'd you move? Okay. Elevator up, elevator down. Yaw left, yaw right. Roll left, roll right. That's a lot of throw. Okay, so sweet. So now I have to test throttle. So I'm going to do it in such a way that it's safe. Okay, so I'm going to actually grab the tail and just hold it. Throttle cut is off. Nothing started. That's good. Okay. Nice quiet prop.
Yes.
A lot of thrust. Throttle cut's on. Okay. 6 down. Okay, so everything is safe. So now let's test. Elevator up, elevator down. Yaw left, yaw right. Roll left, roll right. So everything's working.
Safe mode. AS3.
See, nothing's changing. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to click. We can now trust the plane. So forward programming, gyro setting, safe select. I want to set it to gear.
Safe mode. AS3. Safe mode.
On.
AS3X mode.
Okay, see how my remark is backward? So I'm going to just go ahead and let that be. I'm going to go to servo setup, travel, reverse, gear. Okay. Now watch. Elevator up, elevator down. Safe is on. Elevator down. Roll left. Safe is off. Safe is on. Okay. Yaw. Safe is on. Safe is on. You can tell because there's less throw, because there's limits on your bank angles. But also, and the most safest way to test it is to flip it on its back and turn safe on. It's trying to find the quickest route to level. See how it's going both ways? Cool. Okay, so safe's off. Very good. So this thing is ready to fly right now. So basically, guys, that's all you have to set up. If you want to set up anything more, you can certainly do that. We did dual rates. We did AS3X and safe. It's very basic stuff. Oh, I want to show you one more thing in forward programming, just in case you weren't already aware. Okay, so because we had to flip the direction of our stick, you can see that's our labels that we created. Okay, now I'm going to click and I'm going to go into forward programming. We'll let it load. Go to gyro settings, safe select. Now you can see the conditions. So safe is on, generally speaking. Okay, in this mode, safe is off. This switch mode, safe is off, and AS3X is on.
Safe mode.
In this mode, safe is on. That would be considered flight mode 1. But remember, we switched the output of that switch.
AS3X.
So now, if you wanted to have AS3X off, you can turn it off there.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
See, now it's off. I want it on though. Okay. So now when you walk back out, I'm going to show you throttle cut is on. We've already given throttle, so I don't know if this will work or not yet, but we'll see. Yep, it's working. As I move it, the rudder moves, the rudder moves, the elevator moves, the elevator moves, the aileron moves, the aileron moves. Very subtle. Come here. See if you can. Okay, here we go. Okay, so watch the rudder. It's resisting. See how it goes that way, then it goes this way, and then it goes that way. That's AS3X. Same thing with the elevator, up, down, kind of subtle. Now watch the aileron. Roll up, roll down, roll up, roll down, okay? So now, it's kind of hard to film that, but the truth is, in person, it's very easy to see, okay? All right, so now the next move we need to do is just verify that our CG is right and that our control surfaces are leveled. Okay, now how do we check the control surfaces? First of all, don't be in safe because it might change the direction that something is outputting, okay? So this is nice and straight here. Once this is held still, we're gonna show them down this length. Looks like the elevator needs to come up just a hair, like barely, a little teeny bit, right? Okay, so what we do to do that is we slide back this little rubber fuel tube. Then we're going to pop this off. And it needs to go up, right? Okay, so we'll pull this out. I'm going to take and hold this with 3 fingers. And then I'm going to screw that in 1, 2 turns. We'll see if that's enough. We're going back down to the second hole. Maybe another half. That is a very finite adjustment.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Let's look. Yeah, that looks perfectly flat now. Okay.
Yep.
So now same thing on the ailerons. If you want to look at that aileron over there, see how it's stuck up just a hair?
Just a little bit, yep.
So I need to adjust that. And if you look at the other side, it's kind of the same thing. They're both up slightly, which might tend to make it fly faster, okay? So by the way, if you guys are curious, if you've ever wanted to do this and you wondered if it would work, it will, just to answer your question. You can actually cheat in flaperons that are always on, okay? But remember, they're always gonna be on, so you can't shut them off. But if you wanna slow down a plane, you can do that by basically just cheating them down on both sides and then making an elevator correction so that it compensates for forward flight. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide this down exactly the same way so that it goes to the back there. That little rubber fuel tube. Now I need to pop this off. Once I pop it off, which is a pretty simple thing to do, it's just awkward to do on camera. You pop that off. Now I know that I need to bring this down just a little teeny tiny bit. So I'm gonna go in 1/2, 1, 1.5. And then I'm gonna just retest by sliding that through. I'm not gonna snap it, I'm just gonna slide it through. Now that's in the outside hole, right?
Yes.
Okay. I snapped it. I didn't get enough, it needs more. I did 1.5 turns. I think I wanna go 1, 2.5 turns. We'll see how that looks. How do we look now? Pretty good?
It's looking
Nope,
pretty good.
3.
A little bit more.
Yeah, it's gotta be 3. So there's 3 turns. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's perfect. Remember guys, if you're going through the trouble of making an adjustment, just make it perfect. Don't waste your time. I mean, you're watching this video, so. We don't make short videos here on Brian Phillips RC. That's why YouTube hates us, and that's okay. But here's the thing, guys. If you're new to the hobby and you want a short video, there's a million good short videos that are gonna show you what a plane can do. What we do is show you what a plane can do and then say, okay, this is what we did to make it do that thing. Okay, so now we're gonna go the same just because we know there's 1 half, there's 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, and 6 halves so we can match. And here we go. There it is. Looks like that's not...
What?
No, it needs another half.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's where being anal retentive comes in handy. There's another half. The camera crew is obviously not.
Until I met you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think we're between now. We're between the steps of correction, right? Okay, so now there you have it, guys. So that's the 1.2 meter slow ultra stick from e-flite. Definitely something cool to check out. Let's look at telemetry too, and then maybe, I don't even know if I really want to check CG. I don't think I care. It just reminds me of the Night Vapor. Okay. Why does that matter? Because the Night Vapor, you can intentionally fly super tail heavy to do super slow moves. Okay, what am I checking?
Telemetry.
Telemetry. Let's see what we got. Nice, smart battery. That's the receiver. That's the receiver. Oh, now it's warning me. There you go, 12 volts. So we do have our voltage on our pack, so I'm gonna go ahead and hold this and just demonstrate how that works, guys. Look. Okay, now watch this. You can see your RPMs there. There's your status of your battery. There's a recovery, that's not uncommon, okay? So then, as you can see, under full loading, it's gonna draw it down some, but it doesn't go out of range. There's our critically low warning and the pulse. Whoa, I did notice something. Check this out. Watch this. Watch the spinner. Stay back. Watch the spinner. See the spinner?
Oh.
It's stretching out.
I don't know if you can see it on video, but I could definitely see it in person. Let me zoom in. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not going to help the performance of the plane. Throttle cut's on. Let's just take a look at this real quick and make sure we don't have something screwed up. Feels like this thing is just kind of like stuck on there. I can't tell how it's attached. But I don't want to screw it up because I like having that rubber. Just, I mean, it's sort of unnecessary, but it's still kind of cool. But yeah, I don't want that thing flinging out because that's going to create tons of extra drag. And you'll also notice that even though we got our critically low warning, it's back to almost 50% power. So just remember with lipos, and this is always true on lipos, whether it's a smart pack or otherwise, you can load them heavy and the packs, like one of the individual cells, it's 3 cells, one might shrink back more than the other 2. The difference with the smart pack is that it's gonna balance those It's gonna balance. It's gonna keep balancing it, especially when you're out of throttle. Like if you're in a nice little relaxing glide, just out of like a, a hover or something like that, then it will help get that battery back into spec, which is super handy. And that's part of the reason why we can push these batteries so far. And we really do on Brian Phillips RC. So if you want to help us replace our broken batteries, you can buy these planes from the links down in the video description below. Obviously this thing has, well, let's just say it's got some unique characteristics. I don't know if it's going to be for everybody, but the thing is I can definitely tell you this. I like a slow flying plane. I know some of you guys are like, I want to know how fast it goes and all this. And you know what? Fast planes are cool. And yes, there is definitely a time and place for speed. You know, for instance, warbirds, I want them to be able to go very fast, but I want them to slow down too. When I have just a sport flyer, I want to be able to fly it slow. And that's why I'm a little bit disappointed on this plane that there aren't flaperons by default. But at the same time, it's probably not the end of the world. And the other thing too is, because we have a totally extra spare channel, it might almost be better to just come up with something more cool and do something unique like spoilers or something like that. This wing is so thick and it's got like tons of room. You could put servos on both ends. You could put spoilers on this thing, do all sorts of cool things. But the thing is, I don't necessarily want to do cool things. I just want to fly this. And I'm looking at that windsock out there and I'm thinking, I don't even know if I could fly this thing right now. Oh, and then full disclosure, our battery was not even fully charged when we started our radio setup. I almost forgot that. I think we might just double check the CGs so we can report it to you real quick. We'll be right back. So we're gonna take some calipers and we're gonna mark out 115 millimeters plus or minus 5. So also known as 110 to 120 millimeters. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna turn this thing on. We'll make sure we zero off any indisparity. We'll come all the way out to 110. That was our timer going off, guys. Okay, so we'll set this little lock thing. If we haven't mentioned it in a while, one of our subscribers, longtime subscribers, sent us this as a gift, which is super nice, which is also ironic because we have the exact same pair downstairs, but I'm too lazy to go get them. So it worked out great. Okay, so we're gonna mark the CG out a little bit. So it's kind of out here. This is the early measurement. So I wanna kind of make it so it's between these two little hashy mark things. So I'm gonna go right there. Then I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna go something like right there. And if you guys are wondering why I do this, I mark the center of gravity, not because I was saying this plane reminds me a lot of the Night Vapor or just the Vapor, which is like an ultra micro plane that we flew inside. And it's a super fun plane, but you could intentionally fly it tail heavy if you wanted. And you could do some just crazy high alpha with it. I don't think you're gonna need to be back on your CG to make this thing do high alpha, so. This is like an ultra capable ultra stick, but it'll just go really slow. And just to be clear, if you guys have ever flown a real ultra stick, like a bigger ultra stick like that Hangar 9 we did not too long ago, like a year and a half ago, whenever that was, gosh, time flies when you're having fun.
Sure.
That plane was not as slow as I thought it was gonna be. It was actually quite fast. As in, 6S performance, heavy, had to fly it. We set up crow on ours and that was cool, but it was also a pretty lengthy build. It was pretty expensive and I don't find myself flying it very much, but I think this one's gonna be more fun and less stress, okay? So as you can see, we got our battery in there, just wherever it came out of the package for us. Now I can't claim that it wasn't moved before we got it, but 1300 3S on the front holes, it's perfect. On the back holes, it's probably a little bit nose heavy. So really, by practical measure, I could probably slide this back a little teeny bit like that, and that'd be more centered anyway. As you're just looking under here, this thing is so dang light. Okay, front holes. Still, oh, that's the back holes. Now it's a little bit nose heavy, and it's a little bit tail heavy. So just kind of between the two, we've got a perfect balance. So if nobody's ever showed you how to do this, you just do that. You just take your middle finger and you stick it in the air and you land the plane right on the middle, or whatever your longest finger is. And then you can see if it balances on the center of gravity, but you have to make sure you put in your battery and you have to make sure you put it in the position that you want the battery to fly in. If you put that battery at a different spot, you're gonna adjust your center of gravity pretty drastically, and that's gonna be, you know, like if you had an airplane that had a wing that was full of fuel, then they try to take an even distribution of fuel from the sides, and that way it doesn't impact the CG. And then on real big airplanes, they'll have fuel tanks in the center too. And they start from the center and they use those up and then they use the wings. But anyway, on this thing, there's no fuel tank, it's just electric battery. So if you're returning to the hobby, just remember, this doesn't necessarily have to be at the center of gravity like your fuel used to be on, you know, like the old gassers you used to fly. So normally that would be right pretty much the center of gravity. That's where your tank goes. So very cool, guys. If you're new to the hobby, if you're just getting back to the hobby, We love doing this stuff for you here on Brian Phillips RC. We want you to be able to see all the latest and greatest technology that's coming out. We want you to be able to see if it's just total gimmicks or if it's actually good. And to be honest with you, with Horizon, we've had some of the best luck we've had with other manufacturers. We've had very good luck too, but there's been a few that it's been very bad luck. And I think we know what they're called. So, excuse me, just getting over a cold here. So if you guys ever want to know the no BS truth about whether or not a plane is good, bad, or ugly, we will show you here on Brian Phillips RC. But that being said, I gotta preface that statement with this. We want to be fair to the manufacturers we work with because we kind of need them to be successful so that we can all be successful. Because at the end of the day, I want more bind and fly planes. I want more plug and fly planes. I want more ARFs. I want more of that stuff in general. So we don't want to be completely unreasonable and just beat them to the ground on every little mistake. Like for instance, on this plane, the mistake of not having flaperons. Like, is that annoying? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. Is there no LEDs? Why are there no LEDs on this plane? Well, again, this type of plane, I would actually fly in twilight, and I would like to fly in almost like a night vapor style consideration. But all I'm going to say is, E-flite, if you're listening, you know, you've got the Turbo Timber X and you've got the Turbo Night Timber X. So, or no, that's not the Turbo Timber, the Timber X and the Night Timber X.
Yes.
Just want to say it right. I have no reason to believe that you wouldn't be able to do that same strategy here, because if you want to talk about a cool plane for night flying, this would be it. Now, that being said, also the disparity between one single servo and two servos so that you could do a flaperon configuration, it's not the end of the world. And I don't think you're going to need that because this thing will have such a huge, thick wing cord. You're going to be able to land it super slow anyway, or, you know, bring it in and just do whatever you want. But I still feel like what we're demanding on the consumer side of this is what you guys are trying to put out. But you're trying to strike the balance between cost effectiveness so that you can bring it to market and actually meet performance goals and make some money. So if you're not making money, you're not going to be in business. And remember, guys, I'm going to say this out loud. It doesn't matter if we're working with Horizon, E-flite, Spectrum, any other Horizon brands, or if we're working with FMS, or if we're working with, you know, any of the other brands, the small brands, the one-off, you know, XKs of the world. It doesn't matter. The point is this: if we don't reward them by buying stuff, then they're going to make something else that's easier to make money on, like virtually anything than a radio-controlled airplane. So that's part of the reason why we come out here and show you guys this stuff. It's not just because we want you to buy them from our links, which does help financially support us, by the way. And so we do appreciate it if you do that. If you want to be a Patreon, you can do the same thing without all that evil capitalism. Or you can do PayPal if you want without all that evil capitalism. But don't worry, you'll be supporting PayPal and you'll be supporting Patreon instead of supporting the companies that make the things that we like. So it really doesn't matter to us how you want to support us. If you want to support us, we are very grateful for that. We're going to be doing this as long as you keep coming back. And we do love this, as in I and my wife puts up with it. But remember, these companies can make money easier. You can make a car and make 4 times the profit margin, and you can employ a less sophisticated builder to put it together, and you can have less returns and exchange issues, and you can have cheaper shipping, and I mean, the list continues to go on. And I don't want to talk about it too much in case one of the CEOs at Horizon Hobby is watching and they're saying, what the heck, why don't we just do that? That's my whole point, guys. We have to remember, these companies that are making airplanes in a tough regulation environment for the hobby that we love, that we will do just about anything to keep, okay? We need to reward the companies that are investing in those arenas. Instead of being like, oh, I can't believe they did an orange stripe, man. That orange stripe ruined that plane for me. I'm never buying one from them again. Just before you jump off the deep end with that, yes, before you throw a fit about the non-soft tires, yes, I will continue to complain about these things in hopes that we will just kill them with kindness and they will eventually give us nice squishy pairs, because we all love a good squishy pair, and we love LEDs and we love flaps, particularly inboard flaps. But at the end of the day, we're still getting amazing planes. And so that's what we want. And I want to see that progression as we go there. And we are, guys, we are. And if you don't know that, I can tell you this from personal experience. And we have done hundreds of these planes. We've done tons of transmitters, and they are all getting better.
For sure.
Even the crappiest ones are better than the crappier ones were. They're getting better. There is progression happening, which is good. And that's what we want to bring and we want to report to you. So if you've been sitting on the fence and you're like, Brian, you know, I used to do this 20 years ago and I was a capable pilot. I had an eaglet. I built it from scratch, never had a crash on that thing. It was just an amazing experience. I did everything the right way. I got somebody to hook up a buddy box and help me fly it the first few times and really got me up in the air, and I had success. But then I just gave it up when my kids were little and I was too busy going to soccer practice and baseball and all that stuff, you know? And so but now that they've moved on, they're going out to college, they've abandoned me, you know, they can't quite figure out, well, I gotta stop that train of thought. Now that they've left the house and moved away and forgot all the good things I taught them, I'm ready to go back into the hobby and enjoy it. You're exactly in the right spot. We're gonna help you with that. I'm also old. But the thing is, our kids are not quite out of the house yet. So I'm looking forward to that at some point in the future. And, but for now, we are living this so that you guys can follow in suit. And if you want to get some help on technology, exactly how to use these expensive radios, by the way, cost about half what you were going to spend back in the day in the 80s and the 90s when you were buying a Futaba 4-channel or 4-channel with one extra channel, 5-channel. You know, that was a big deal back then. This is now 8 channels plus full telemetry. You're talking back and forth. You got stabilization, auto leveling, all these things are built in. This technology that you never heard of. And no, you don't have to use it. You can shut all that stuff off except for AS3X, which you're not going to want to shut off anyway. But we did show how to shut it off in this video if you do want it off. But stabilization is only going to make the experience better. I promise you that. So at the end of the day, why are you here? You're here to see whether this thing is worth buying because of your own personal reasons, not because of my reasons. I don't like the not squishy tires. I don't like the lack of LEDs, and I don't like the inboard flaps / flap rounds. Okay, those are my 3 gripes. Those gripes also are consistent with a higher, more expensive, higher performance plane that's gonna come to market for another $50 or $60, okay? So I put that into consideration. And for those of you that are gonna say that, you know, like, hey, you're just gonna say anything Horizon makes is good, you know, I mean, they just kind of do make stuff that's good. There's been a few that have been kind of duddish, I admit. They made a VTOL that wasn't very good. It wasn't as good as the Chinese counterpart. What was the other? We did a helicopter not too long ago. It wasn't that great. But it was just kind of like a one-off thing. Yeah. You know, it was it wasn't like they built it. It was just a rebranded thing. The stuff that e-flite puts out is usually the best stuff you can get. And then they have branded it in their technology. They've branded it with their, of course, liveries and all that good stuff. And so for that reason, we end up really liking them. So that being said, if a competitive brand makes this exact item, we'll review that too. So we're not here to pick sides. We just want you guys to pick winning in RC aviation. So remember, we're all in it together. We want this to be a success. We need bigger numbers. We need more buyers and consumers to buy these things so that we can drive the price down, so we can make more technology attainable for the companies that are out putting their necks on the line so that they can make this stuff available at retail. And so that's part of what we do here. But also we want to help protect one and dones, which is where kids get a plane that's way too advanced, or adult children get planes that are way too advanced. And they're like, how come I can't fly this 1.7 meter F4U Corsair? I'm brand new, but I mean, Brian helped me set up the radio. Yes, I did. But the thing is, you need to understand, you need experience on some of these planes, and you're gonna have a bad experience. So keep that F4U Corsair, put it in the corner, look at it every time you walk through the door, let that drive you through your beginner aircrafts until you get there. Or alternatively, like I said, if you're just getting back to the hobby after a big hiatus and you're just really excited to get back in the air, but you know, all your stuff is garbage because it's old and you know, used up and you don't need it anymore, that's fine. Don't feel bad. You got use out of it years ago, and now you're just gonna have to buy a few more items to get in the air. And once you're in the air, you're gonna forget about all that stuff. Trust me, I got tons of stuff in the basement that's only a couple years old. I'm not even using it yet because I got so many new, amazing, awesome products that I wanna fly more. And so that's the reality. And that's part of the reason why I'm never gonna tell you to buy this if you're not ready for it, okay? This one here, you could buy as a beginner plane if you want. I wouldn't necessarily push it as a beginner plane because you do have to bind and fly. So not necessarily the advantage that you'd want to see. You want to get something more like a ready to fly if you can find one. and we'll help you with that too. So anyway, those are our big ticket items here on Brian Phillips RC, what we do. And we try to teach you on a step-by-step basis in long format, which takes a short video and makes it very large. And plus I'm not very short-winded ever. Just ask my wife. Sure. So that being said, if you don't like the long-windedness, click the little gear icon, go to the setup and change the playback speed faster. You're not gonna hurt my feelings if I sound like a chipmunk saying this. Congratulations, you got to hear it faster than everybody else. And as long as you're listening to the content and we're helping to teach you guys and you're getting advanced in your ranks, that's what we want. We want everybody to succeed in this. So we appreciate you guys. We have some wonderful supporters here on Patreon. We have supporters buying these planes and we have supporters come back and watching the videos. Those are the three biggest things you could do, but also smash the like button. It really does help. If we have higher like ratios, it helps offset some of our punishment from YouTube, from the evil Google that wants to punish us for doing content that's real and not just a bunch of like teeny boppers dancing around with next to nothing on. Because I'm sure that, you know, there's a time and place for that, but it's definitely not here and it's definitely not now. And that's not what we're all about here on Brian Phillips RC. We want you guys to have a wholesome, wonderful family experience and enjoy something real, lasting, challenging, rewarding, and just amazing. And that's what that's what RC aviation is all about. So we're here to bring it to you on Brian Phillips RC. So come back for more. So you thought it was all over, but it's not.
Never is.
Never ends. So I was getting ready to load the battery that was fully charged and we were gonna go fly for the maiden flight. As you know, we film these and then we go out and fly and then we put that in reverse order so people watch. I just realized that there is screws here, there's screw holes here and here, and here and here. And guess what that means, folks? If you want to add flaperons, it's very simple. You literally take one, move it over here, you install the same one on the other side. You replace the control horn, or you cut one off and then you've got one on each side. So it's gonna be very basic install. I mentioned earlier about carving into the foam and doing all that. You don't have to do that. That would be unnecessary in this application. And I just wanted to apologize for not catching that earlier. But sometimes we catch our own mistakes and we try our very best to put them in a concise order. Concise, obviously not. But we try to put them in order at some point in the video series. So hopefully this answers your question. You're like, Brian, why would you ever cut the foam? You could just stick them in there. Okay, congratulations. Yep. You are correct. And I have just confirmed it for you. Now that being said, you have to get these digital and skinny servos, which this is an A345SL. Okay.
Slim.
Slim.
SL stands for slim.
Yes. So anyway, guys, the camera crew was very proud of herself for figuring out the slim, and I am too. Good job, Megan.
Thanks.
You got it all figured out. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I'm not going to go into another tirade, but yes, remember this hobby is fragile as you want to make it. So let's not let it be fragile. Let's not get crushed. Let's not let it get crushed, because I love this stuff too much and I know you guys do too, or you wouldn't be watching this whole video. So stay tuned, so much more from Brian Phillips RC. All right, so you thought we were all done, but we're not. Thrust reverse, I forgot to tell you how to set it up. We're gonna go through it right now. It's a very simple process. First things first, I have a fully charged battery here that I just pulled off the charger, and I have what would be the model pulled up. I cleared my time, so it's ready to go. Once this initiates, I'm gonna scroll all the way to the right. Right now it says G-force, but once it initiates, it's gonna allow you to go even further, and you have to do the steps on the ailerons basically within, I think it's like 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, so camera crew is gonna come around and be ready. Okay, so first things first, I'll go ahead and take off my lanyard for safety reasons. Okay, so throttle cut is on, verify that. We've already tested this plane, so I trust it. Okay, plugging in the battery, flipping it over. You don't have to do anything crazy or dangerous, okay? So now you're gonna scroll all the way over. Okay, step one, low throttle, up elevator, left aileron. Okay, now looking for step two, right aileron. Okay, now we can go brake disabled. So you use up and down, left and right to make the change. So disabled, normal, proportional, reverse. Okay, brake force. They probably have some setting in the manual that I'm not gonna set up, which is kind of funny because the Horizon guys always tell me that and then I just ignore it like a jerk. And they're like, oh, everybody's planes are gonna blow up in a million pieces. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, but they're engineers. Did I miss it?
What?
Jeez.
Channel 7?
Okay, so channel 7, so throttle cut is down. So channel 7 is fine because we don't have anything on channel 7. So exit with save. Okay, so now we're gonna just secure the plane, flip it around so we can be safer. Just in case all hell breaks loose, which we don't expect it to, it hasn't in the past. Why would it now? Okay, so here we go, guys. So first things first, we're gonna scroll back over to our normal home screen. We're gonna go over 1 for the menu, for the monitor menu. And you can see channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, channel 2. So nothing's attached. Remember how we disassociated that from switch B? Mm-hmm. That was probably a smart move to make. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into system setup, disconnect RF, I'm gonna go to channel assign. I'm gonna assign that instead to G, okay? So now, this is where I like my thrust reverse. Thrust reverse should be forward thrust, reverse thrust, reverse thrust. Normally this would be forward thrust, controllable reverse thrust, and then pilot fatigue if I'm doing a jet. I don't do pilot fatigue on prop planes because it's dangerous potentially, okay? So this will be forward thrust because it's the normal setting that I always check when I'm starting up a plane. And then this will be reverse thrust or reverse thrust, okay? So right now, throttle cut's on, throttle cut's now off. We're gonna test the direction of rotation. Reverse, okay? So, when I do that, it should still be reverse. Now it's forward, okay? Throttle cut's back on, sticks back down. Throttle cut's on, sticks back down, throttle cut's on, okay? So what we need to do is we need to go to monitor and we can look at this and we can see auxiliary 2, when in -100, that's forward. When in 0 or +100, it's backward, okay? So I want to flip the direction of that switch. But that leaves me wanting, and I'll show you why, okay? So now, if I go over here, go to monitor, you can see that we're in where I want it to be forward. Throttle cuts off. Don't you worry about it. Watch this. Thrust, forward thrust, okay? Reverse thrust and reverse thrust, okay? So we've established how to do it. Now I want to add one more safety measure because I don't like being in the middle. Because if there's a small error, it could be plus or it could be minus, okay? I would rather lock this all the way in reverse thrust, which is +100, +100, and -100. You're like, but you already reversed it, Brian. Yes, we did. And so I showed you that for the easy way. Okay, now I'm gonna put that back. The only reason I'm putting it back is just so it's not confusing, okay? Now I'm gonna go down to digital switch setup, okay? I'm gonna select switch G, okay? So in that position, I want that to be negative, switch G, acknowledge your entry. Scroll down here. You want to make this -100. If you hit cancel, it puts it to the default value, okay? There's -100, not 101. Then I want this to be +100. And then I want this to be +100. Why are you so far back there? Thank you. Okay, now remember, this is not the amplitude of throttle. This is the amplitude of auxiliary 2. Okay. See? So now it's -100 or +100. There's no intermediate. By the way, look at this, guys. You ever get a switch that loosens like that? You see that? How it's loose? And you got this weird thing that needs to be tightened. So you ever get those loose? It's very critical. Throttle cut is on. That you go through here and you tighten them. Now there is a proper tool. It's like a split flat bladed screwdriver. Okay, this one here just happens to be a regular old run-of-the-mill screwdriver. But just remember, guys, it doesn't seem like a big deal until you crash a plane because you got that right. And that becomes a bit of a safety feature, okay? So you need to make sure that those things are tight so they don't spin around, okay? Because if that thing spun all the way around, you wouldn't know what condition the switch is in, okay? So just a little bit of advice. And yes, occasionally, especially on switch B, I have the most problems with switch B because it is the one that I use for my flaps. So I'm like constantly dinking around with it. And then throttle cut, for whatever reason, it never seems to loosen, which is great. So someday I'd like to get a screwdriver that is designed to actually do that. But anyway, so getting back to the point. So now we'll just show you how this works. Cleared the timer, throttle cuts off. We have our ordinary, just to prove it, forward thrust. And then we have reverse thrust. Wow, that's pretty proportional. So reverse thrust is gonna be unnecessary on this aircraft because it's just definitely not a super fast airplane. But the thing is, just like flaps, we don't need them, we want them. So hopefully that answered all your questions. We have reverse thrust, we have AS3X and safe, we have flight mode set up, we set up the forward programming, we showed you how to turn off AS3X if you'd like. And then of course we also mentioned about the 2 different servos that you can put in instead of one singular slim servo. Thanks, camera crew. And so really we've answered all the questions on this. We've pointed out the fact that there are no LEDs. We pointed out the fact that it does not come stock with flaperons, which is a bit of a disappointment. And we came with hard tires. But with all those things considered, now you can vote with your dollars. But anyway, guys, if you want to help vote with your dollars and support Brian Phillips RC, as well as the companies that we work with to bring you all this amazing content, what you can do is follow the links in the video description below. And believe me, if you don't like these guys, but you like us, then you should buy from the links. And if you don't like us, but you like those guys, you should also buy it from the links. But if you like both of us, then you should definitely buy it from the links. But also don't forget to smash that like button, click the bell, and obviously be subscribed because we have so much new content coming, we can't hardly contain it. In fact, it's getting a little bit, the stack is getting like this high. So we need to get a few of them done. We were sick last week, as you can tell from the camera crew coughing and my voice kind of being questionable still. But whenever we get sick for like a week or something, it always like sets us back for months. So please be nice. Don't hate us for being sick. This is what happens in spring in Iowa. I don't know if you guys, wherever you're from, but I always get sick whenever the seasons change. So I think it's just sort of part of it. But anyway, definitely love this plane. Hopefully you guys will too. And we appreciate you. Stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips RC.